Hot Licks, the world leader in video and audio music instruction, now helps you be the best you can be with lessons by some of the biggest stars in music today. No matter what instrument you play, regardless of your level, you simply can't help but improve with these incredible jam-packed tapes. You'll learn guitar from stars such as legendary virtuoso Eric Johnson on his 90-minute earth-shattering video, Total Electric Guitar, or the amazing Vinnie Moore on his two incredibly hot videos, Advanced Lead Techniques and an even more advanced speed, accuracy, and articulation. Vivian Campbell of Dio and Whitesnake fame has a lead guitar masterclass that'll blow you away. And Bruce Kulick, Kiss's fiery and inventive guitarist, has an incredible video aimed at the beginner-level player. Surely all of us can learn something from studio legend and master Tommy Tedesco as he takes us through the paces in playing guitar for a living. And Arlen Roth, founder and producer of Hot Licks tapes, and the man who taught actor Ralph Macchio from scratch for the film Crossroads, has 6 great videos, including Chicago Blues Guitar, Slide Guitar, and Hot Country Lead. And speaking of hot, the one and only Danny Gatton has an all-new video for Hot Licks that'll simply knock you out with its red-hot information. In the jazz department, we have a wonderful solo jazz guitar lesson with the inimitable Joe Pass, 2 great videos from Emily Rimler, contemporary guitar improvisation with Jackie King, and country jazz guitar with Joe Dalton. Michael Fath's video on progressive classical rock is a true masterpiece, and Marty Friedman opens up many new doors with his exotic metal guitar tape. We pride ourselves in the blues idiom, and along with Arlen Roth, blues masters such as Lonnie Mack and Mick Taylor show you how it's really done. In the classical and pop guitar field, we have Effortless Classical Guitar by William Cannongeiser, renowned soloist and player of the classical guitar parts in the film Crossroads, as well as a masterful work by the great Jorge Morel on composition and arranging for the guitar. If you're a bass player or aspire to be one, we have videos that offer something for everyone, such as the Masterclass with none other than John Entwistle of The Who, one of rock's all-time most influential players. Rudy Sarzo of Whitesnake shows you some of his hottest secrets on his lesson. And David the Beast Spitz of Black Sabbath and Impellitteri gives a great rock beginner's bass lesson. Super Chops for Bass by Beaver Felton offers beginners just what the title claims. And R&B legend Jerry Jamot has created a true video masterclass that no complete bassist should be without. In the truly contemporary bass department, the brilliant Stuart Ham, solo artist and bassist with Joe Satriani, has a video entitled Slap, Pop, and Tap for the bass that covers all techniques imaginable, including his incredible two-handed tapping style. While we're on the subject, one of the true masters of the polyphonic bass, Chell Benner, has created a video strictly for the two-handed style. Our drum lessons includes a rock drum soloing and double bass workout with the legendary Tommy Aldridge, as well as a beginning-oriented master video with rock great Carmine Appice. There's also an incredible drumming essentials video with none other than Tico Torres of Bon Jovi, which covers everything from exercises to recording secrets. In the keyboard department, David Bryan, also of Bon Jovi, gives an incredibly intense video lesson that deals with all subjects important to rock keyboardists, from classical technique to equipment. For banjo beginners, we have a terrific bluegrass video with Fred Sokolow, and there's even an instant blues harmonica video with David Harp.
Hot Licks is also proud to present the legendary guitar of the one and only James Burton, the original Hot player whose work with Rick Nelson, Elvis Presley, Emmylou Harris, and so many others has influenced us all. Plus, master player Robin Trower delivers an incredible masterpiece with his classic blues and rock guitar video. Jazz and fusion guitar pioneer Larry Coryell gives you an amazing advanced jazz guitar lesson that will improve your playing forever. And rock bass players will get a truly advanced and unique workout with master player Randy Coven.
And no matter what instrument you play, Greg Irwin, who dazzled everyone on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, has a finger fitness tape to help make your own playing stronger and faster. You'll find that Hot Licks videos are of the highest visual and audio quality and feature helpful items such as split screen, extreme close-ups, and even though you don't have to read music to learn from any of these tapes, most feature the music and tablature right on the screen. Don't be fooled by our imitators. Hot Licks is the original, and we are dedicated to always bringing you the best in tape musical instruction. Let the best make you better on the tapes that really teach. Hot Licks.
Hi, I'm Tico Torres from Bon Jovi. Welcome. I want to thank Arlen Roth and Hot Licks for inviting me down here. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so it should be some fun. I've been playing for about 22 years, and I got into rock first by listening to Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles and Cream and groups like that. I found that listening to bands like Jimi Hendrix, Mitch Mitchell, I looked at him and listened to the way he played, and I says, wow, and I couldn't understand. I says, that's not really rock and roll. So I kept listening to him, and then I started getting into jazz because of it. I figured it was more of an interpretation, and he went a lot deeper than just a 2/4 rock beat. So that got me into jazz. I went from there, got into R&B, Latin, and I think it's very important for a drummer, especially when you're starting out, is to listen to all types of music. Keep an open mind, because it's only going to help you play rock and roll. If you just listen to rock, you're just going to be limited to that. But I use different styles of playing within Bon Jovi and the other various projects I do. So keep an open mind, listen to as much as you can, see drummers, hear them, go to clubs. The best learning is watching. So I know you're watching out there. Put your feet up, relax, and first thing I like to start out with is the drumstick. I use a 5A or 5B stick. I like a little longer stick. These are a little chewed up here from playing, but I like using a wood tip. Sometimes I use a nylon tip. There's two different sounds from a wood tip and a nylon tip on a cymbal, and I'll show you that. As opposed to a nylon tip, which is a little brighter, has a better ping. So the wood has a warmer sound to it. So it's up to preference and what kind of sound you want. When I buy a stick, I go to the store and first of all start credit, right? And grab a handful of sticks and see which ones feel better to you. I suggest taking them out of the bag and rolling them on top of the counter. Find out if they're straight or if they're warped, because you want them as straight as possible and the match weight. You want them to both the ways equally. Make sure they're straight because you're paying a lot of money for the drumsticks. I'm sorry, and you're breaking them and you go through them a lot. So it's worth it to take the time, roll them out, find out which one's the best for you. Most of the sticks have a bit of lacquer on them. And I suggest when you get them home, I usually take it off with a knife. And like this, I just scrape them. You see, just a little bit comes off. Just enough that when you perspire, I sweat like crazy when I'm playing, so this gives you a little bit of a grip. The sweat gets in there, and you got something to hold on to. Sometimes I use like a Beto glove, one of these. My hands get raw. After being on the road for a couple of months, you build up calluses, and you get blisters. You rip them up. So I suggest you get a glove if they hurt. If you get cracks in your skin, get some new skin, put it inside there. It's gonna hurt a little bit, but get you through the gig. And try to wear some of these gloves because they work. A lot of other things I use is mallets. There's all different types of mallets. I've got some here. These are used for vibraphones, but they have a nice effect. They're light. Use them for crescendos, endings of song build-ups, And you got a harder mallet for different kinds of effects. And have a lot softer tone for the drums, as opposed to the drumstick. The attack is less, and you can use it for build-ups. Okay, I use brushes as well. They're a lot of fun, doing jazz stuff, even boogie stuff. Got some different brushes here. I prefer the metal ones. And when you buy these, you got to spread them out, all right? and gives you a nice spread. Also have here, it's a rock type. You can use more for a heavier player. So this you can get around. For a rock drummer that doesn't really want to even go into anything with the wire brush, because this is a softer sounding, here's the other one. This is softer sounding, it's good. And again, you can use it for cymbals. Okay, now I break up a drumstick in 3 parts, which I consider the base, the middle, and the shank. I break it up like that. I'll hold the stick in this position, and I'm a match grip player. I also sometimes go traditional, like this. You know, for like, I feel it better for jazz or rolling type of thing. Also can be done match. Now playing rock, you hit pretty hard. So I enjoy hitting hard. So I think it's very important that you don't hold the stick too tight. You can get a tendonitis and hurt yourself. So hold it so it pivots, but control it. So. Very important not to choke it, because you got a long life of professional playing, and if you hold it too tight, it gets tense in here, and you're supposed to play relaxed. So control the stick, but it's okay to hit hard. I mean, these heads can take 10,000 pounds per square inch, so you're not going to go through them. The drum set, you're going to find doing sessions, going into the studio and doing a session, you're going to use a different drum set every time. So you have to get used to setting it up your way as quickly as possible. Sometimes you basically have to adapt. I mean, you're going to do jam sessions, you know, when you get up and jam, there's only so much you could change. Maybe just adjust the snare drum and a couple of cymbals. So I suggest doing club dates, or somebody calls you, somebody's sick, and you got to stand in for a drummer. You got to use his kit. You have to learn to adapt. So keep an open mind. Be flexible. Especially in the studio, you have mics. You have to work around them. You know? You got to look at them, place them far enough, but close enough to the head where they're not in your way. Be comfortable with the set. Another thing that's very important with drumming is tuning up the drums. This is the key to it right here. I tune the thirds and fourths. Meaning by that is, I'll start like this, off a piano, thirds and fourths. So this is from the floor tom to the higher floor tom is a third. From this one to the higher tom is a third. From this, from the higher tom to the piccolo tom is a fourth. So. And if I don't have a piano around, I'll usually think of, I worked out something with post time. And that's usually the way I tune them. It's important to have your drums tuned well. You don't have much time in the studio, and time is money. So try to tune each lug equally. I tune my bottom heads not quite as tight as the top ones. The top ones, I need the rebound. I mean, there's air pushing in between there in which the tone. So to have that rebound, you really have to tighten it up as much as possible. So you can do, you know, if you want to do a press roll, double stroke roll, and just get that bounce. Let the stick work. This way, it'll be a lot easier for you to play. You don't hold them tight, and you know how to tune them. nobody loves anything like a well-tuned drum. It's musical. Sometimes you have to tune to a song. Very rarely that you have to tune the toms to certain notes in a song, but it's the way some orchestra bands do it. Okay? I suggest oil your lugs. Keep them well oiled because then it'll be easier to tune and it's truer. You're going to find that especially on the snare drum, where you're doing the rim shots over here, it's going to loosen up. So each one of these lugs, they make a lug lock that I use live, so I don't have to keep cranking the drum every time, in between every song, because sometimes you're going in segues and you're not going to have time. So those are little tips that'll help you tune and help you keep your drums in shape, and I hope it'll help you. I'd like to show you now some tips on tuning a snare drum. Now, when I first put on the drum head, I put it on very loosely and I stretch it by pushing down by the lugs. And that will crack it into place. It'll set the head. Then I start to tune it slowly. Now, I'll start cross-sectioning, tuning. First this side, then the other side, then like this, to try to tune it evenly. It's important, I try to get by hitting the tips over here, by every lug. You hear the difference? So this one's lower, so I'll try to bring that up into pitch. A little too much. Try to get them as close as possible to each other. Now they're getting close now. Bring these up a little bit. That's close to where I want it. A lot of rebound, it's nice and tight. And remember, you can't, it's very hard to break these. Remember that 10,000 pounds per square inch. So you could hit it as hard as you want. Now, you hear that ring, that over ring. You have a lot of problems when you're miking a drum. So, first of all, you could use one of these. I cut these out of an old drum head. You can buy them in the store already made. And this is about... I cut it about halfway. Now I take some of the ring off. I put a little piece of tape, a little piece of duct tape right there. You hear the difference already. It just knocks out a little bit of that ring, which will take off, will just knock the mic right out of whack. And playing live, you hear those feedback noises in the studio. Plus, it makes it sound a little ballsier. You could also use a piece of duct tape, which sometimes on tom-toms I use. This even gets a little darker even. Okay? It's important to try to alleviate that. Like I said, for live shows, my sound man goes nuts first of all, if it's a detuned drum, it'll sound off color. And if you don't use these, sometimes you're in trouble. So it's important to think about that. Here's a little trick. If you take a towel and you tape it in front of the snare drum, now that gives you separation from the bass drum mic and from the tom-toms, because the snares are always ringing. So you get equal separation. Now you can turn up the tom-toms more, and the bass drum and the snare drum mics are more separate. So it's not going to get in the way of each other. So remember that. You could tape that right here. You could even do that for live. Get a black towel or something, and that'll give you that separation. For the bass drum, I use a little bit of padding, and just enough to give me the attack. Because if not, it's a big instrument, and there's a lot of air flowing in there, and it kind of gets lost in the sauce. So what I usually do, you want the attack from the beater. So what I usually do for a bigger sound, I take newspaper, and I shred them like 3 to 4 inches in strips. and I fluff it up in there, and I make a pile about 6 inches deep. And they just lay it against the head, and when it hits, it flies away. And that's for a nice big round bass drum sound. I prefer a 22-inch bass drum because it's not too big and it's not too small. It's punchy enough for my kind of music. If you want a little duller sound, you put some packing blanket in there and I lay it in there. A lot of guys do that. You know, they're unloading the truck and they throw the packing blanket in the drum. I like keeping the front head on with a hole in the front just for the mic so I can still get that round tone like the tom-toms. You could use foam. You could cut it up and buy the foam about 1 inch thick. Lay it along the bottom halfway to the drum, and it just barely touches the head, and that gives you enough attack. Right now I'm using a packing blanket, and that gives me the attack I need. If you don't have any of the above, just go for your jacket, whatever you can get your hands on, throw it in there, and that'll give you the attack you want. And also makes the sound man happy, all right? Now, in the studio and even live with Bon Jovi and sound checks, we'll go through the tuning and I'll set up the drums and get them all fixed up the way I like them, and I'll play. Now, sound men, especially in the studio, they'd like you to hit the drum precisely, hard, definite. Don't be afraid to hit them. They like when you hit them hard, you know, so. Everything's definite. There's a VU meter in the studio and on the board, on the soundboard, that they usually set it where they want it, at the top level, and you try to hit that consistently. In other words, go ga, not. You know, you don't want to do it too soft, and you don't want to go. The bass drum moving like that, try to stay steady in all you're playing, because that comes out on the mics, and it's important, because most of the playing in clubs and studio and the big shows is all through the mic, and it makes your sound better. So try to be as definite as possible. Now, another important thing that I'd like to mention that I learned pretty early on. I met some drummers with back pain, so I says, why? Now, one of the reasons is, like myself, I slouch a lot when I play, and it's a habit I got into since I was younger. So to alleviate that, I did some research. I wrote away to a place in California called Abs for Life. Now, this was a martial artist, and he devised some exercises, some leg lifts that tighten up the stomach and help the lower back, thus strengthening it. Now, if you want to play for a lot of years, which I'm going to play till I can't anymore, when I'm 50, 60 years old, I don't want to have that lumbago pain back here, and which is very painful. So to alleviate that, I suggest it takes 5 minutes a day to do this exercise. I'd like to show it to you for your future years of playing as a drummer. I was saying, this is very good for the lower back, and I know it looks kind of goofy. It's the Jane Fonda hour. I'm not as good looking as Jane Fonda, but you got Simba right here. Now I want to show you how to do the exercises. Every time I want to do exercises, she takes off, but here she is. All right, what you do is you put your hands under your buttocks, keep your head up, and do leg raises, like this, from 8 inches to 18 inches. Do 20 of those. Then you rest and do another 20. Now this helps the lower back without straining, okay? And what it does is strengthens your abdomen and then gives you that extra resistance in your lower back to help you with bad posture and playing the drums. Next, You go to this position right afterwards. You do 40 of those, then you do 20 of these. By not pulling up on top of your head, just lifting up by yourself. 1, 2, 3. Simba, get over here and do this. 4, 5, 6. You do 20 of those. Immediately when you're done, raise your legs up and do real quick ones. So far we covered the lower abdomen, the midsection, and now the top. You do these really fast without pushing up on your neck. You do 20 of those immediately after. And that should help you with lower back problems or alleviate them. Continue to do them every day, 5 minutes. It only takes 5 minutes to do them. And I know this is not much for, as far as has nothing to do with drumming, but it does. It's good for your back, so give it a shot. Simba, come on, girl. She never wants to work out. I'd like to show you some things with cymbals now. I love using the cymbals. I love the tones you get out of them and the sounds. A lot of guys like Shelly Manne really are versatile when it comes to cymbals. I personally play the bell a lot. I think, you know, you're playing a verse, you go to the B verse, it's the second half of the verse, and then when it comes to a chorus, I go right to the bell and it just opens the whole song up. It makes it, that is the chorus. And it's also sort of like a little lead instrument, you know, it's like a guitar player. And you could also play with the guitar when he's doing a lead, that I really enjoy doing. Like in Wanted Dead or Alive, I'll play, I'd like to talk about what I call the whale sound. I went to Berkeley about 12 years ago and for about a week, and Jose Madero was doing a lecture there. And he did this on a conga. And what you do is you wet your finger and tap the head and rub it across there, which creates a vibration. Just rub it right across the head. Creates this. I could use it for a slow song. I actually have used it, and there's a song called We All Sleep Alone, Cher does it, where I do that type of rhythm, and it's a slow song. It's like... That's a little tidbit on using the percussion of a head. Shelly Manne is very much into different sounds, and he innovated with percussions. I like using, matter of fact, I use this. It's a kid's toy for the beginning of Living on a Prayer. So anything having to do with sound, be creative, be open. I use metal ashtrays for a clanking sound, like an anvil. And so just try to use anything in your house. Everything sounds good. And just be creative. Next thing I want to talk about is the groove. I look at it like a wave. And with time is very important. A drummer needs good time. Years ago, that's all a drummer did was keep good time. And they weren't allowed to be innovative. But, you know, there's a lot of drummers that opened that up since the 30s. And it's become somewhat of a lead instrument at times. So, but you still have to hold the groove in a band. You have to do the fat back, and that's just lay it in there. Simplicity is genius sometimes. And when it's your turn, you can go for it. But it's better to play simple and make the song breathe. What I meant by a wave was, when I used to surf, the best position on a wave would be the crest, would be to speed you up. The middle, again, like the sticks, 3 parts. The crest to speed you up. The middle is usually where you sat and went across the wave. And the bottom, you kicked in, you dug in, which slowed you down. So you had speeding up, moderate tempo, and slowing down. So I look at when using a click track, it's important to have that in your head. Even if you're not using one, work with one at home. Work with a click track, get your time good. Think of it as a wave. And when you're playing a song, you have to lay back at certain parts, right behind the beat. Just think of that rhythm there, keeping you going. So when you play with a click track, try playing on top of it, right on with it and right behind it. And it's very important. Let songs breathe. Let the way you play breathe. Just groove with it. That's giving it space, and try not to be too technical at first and build into that and use parts sparingly. I'll give you an example of just grooving it. That sometimes happens when you're playing. Now your hands get wet and you just lose a stick. Now, one thing I want to talk about is when you throw a stick, try not to throw it in the audience. You might hit somebody in the eye or something. So I usually try to throw it backstage. And when I lose them, I usually lose them backstage. And the roadies, they get them and they try to give them away to girls and stuff like that. So I have my manager, Simba, and he usually comes to us and just does a block and grabs the stick for me. So he saves me a lot of money on sticks. I'd like you to meet him. Simba, can I have the other stick so I can play? Come on, the people are waiting. Come on, come on. Come on. Give me the stick. Come on. She ain't giving it up. One more thing I'd like to cover is the buzz roll. That's my favorite roll. I use that ever since I heard Jack DeJohnette. He's very good with press rolls, and they're really not that hard to do. What you're doing is letting the stick work for you by taking it up and dropping it. Now, I like using a lot of dynamics with this. You could use it for build-ups and going into songs. Start out from the rim and work in to get different pitch, and since the rim is tighter, you could do a very soft press roll into it. Now that's a press roll. You could do it around the set. Like I said, Jack DeJohnette, one of my favorite drummers that really uses that a lot, and I like using it with accents and rolls. There's a song coming out just about now. It's called Blood on Blood on a new record, where I do, again, using other feels. It's sort of a samba feel, but I'm doing quarter notes on the bass drum instead of the doubles. So I use the press roll in within my rolls and moving in and out, accenting. So I'll show you a little bit how that goes into Blood on Blood. It's the middle section of the song. go, dropping a stick again. Okay. That's a little bit on a press roll. Remember, push down. Keep going, and try to get it as even as you can. Work on the dynamics, and you can use it within your playing, you know, which is a real nice effect and makes a lot of smooth playing. So, important things to remember. Be open to all types of music. Listen to everything. At the end of the program, you'll see coming up on your screen some different records that I listen to that help me in different styles of music that maybe you could pick up or borrow and give a listen to. It might help you. Remember, just be open to all types of music. Let yourself go. You could use it in rock, you could use it in anything, but most important that you use that versatility. Don't be afraid to experiment. All right, it's fun. There's no rules. And above all, just enjoy yourself. So I want to thank you very much. And right now, it's time to go. What do you say, Simba? Want to go? Okay. Why don't you grab that case for me and we'll head right out of here.